So I'm here in sunny Walton-on-Thames, so come with me as we explore the town, see why it's significant in this election, and see why people like to live here. So, we started at Walton-on-Thames station, which had some bike parking facilities, a DPD locker I'd never seen before, and what intrigued me was I thought, this is an interesting orange cafe, but no, it was not an orange cafe. On further inspection, it was indeed a tech shed. So, kudos to whoever put that there. I thought that was an interesting placement. Across the road from the tech shed was Ashley Park Road, and it took me a while to cross the road because there were so many cars in the way, although when I filmed this they all seemed to have disappeared, which was kind of them. But Ashley Park Road took you halfway to the town centre, next to a travel lodge which looked quite fancy. So, Walton-on-Thames is in Surrey, which is just outside of London, and I'm recording this from a private road, which gives you an indication as to the sort of area that it is. It's incredibly leafy, it's incredibly quiet, apart from the planes going overhead from Heathrow, and yes, I can certainly see why people would want to come here. Or live here even, live here and visit, but it's not as popular as its nearby counterparts in Kingston upon Thames, which has quite a few shops and things to do, but it's certainly for the quieter lifestyle with big gardens, big houses and generally green living. Here's an example of a private road. You can see it's well paved, and I've not shown the houses for the owner's privacy, but here is the gate to enter a private road, just in case you hadn't seen one. One thing I did notice when heading into the town centre was the grass verges. I don't know whether they were left because of council cutbacks or no mow May. Just before the town centre, I passed a road called Red House Lane, which was intriguing because most of the houses were indeed red, apart from one at the very end which was white, and I believe that would have been there before the red houses were built. So here we are, we made it to the town centre, and I was surprised at the different types of architecture. Some old, some new, traditional high street I would say for Britain, but I was surprised that one of the main shopping streets was called New Zealand Avenue. Perhaps someone could let me know why that is. So, I found myself walking up the main high street in Walton just to get my bearings and to see the sorts of shops they had. There was a mixture of independent shops and the usual UK high street chains that we get used to. I was pleased to see an Aldi on the corner, and there was loads of people walking in and out. I crossed the road and looked down the main high street. There was a main shopping centre called The Heart, which was clearly labelled, and I thought to myself, I've got to go and have a look to see what that's like. I was quite surprised at how tall the shopping centre was, but there were flats above it, which I thought was a good use of space, especially as we desperately need more houses in the southeast of England. There was a Sainsbury's with an Argos, and a few posher cafes and eateries, including Carluccio's, Costa Coffee, and some other one as well, I can't remember what it was called. There was a Waterstones as you entered the shopping centre, and I thought, this is quite nice, quite posh. When entering the shopping centre, you were presented with a few different stores, but I was quite struck by the Lola's Cupcakes that was on the corner. I thought that was quite interesting. The rest of the shopping centre was the usual high street brands, but I was quite surprised at how many vacant shops there were, which is a reflection of the UK high street at this point in time. I stopped for a much needed McDonald's Coke because it was such a hot day, but of course, why would I pay for it? I got it for free. After finishing my refreshment, I headed down Bridge Street to find the river, but I reflected on something I'd noticed in the town. That was the inconsistency of the bin design. I walked past 3 different types of recycling bin on the high street, and it's not a very big high street, so that was quite surprising. I'm not sure what Elmbridge Borough Council were thinking there. I found myself by the George Inn pub on Thames Street and thought to myself, this must lead me to the River Thames, which thankfully it did. There were a couple of small businesses and then a really attractive row of, I'm going to say, Victorian semi-detached houses. I'll be corrected if I'm wrong. It was clear to me that owners took a great deal of pride in looking after their local area. The houses were immaculate and the streets were clean and tidy. Around the corner was another pub called the Old Manor Inn. It was clear there's a lot of pubs in this area. There were some nice semi-detached houses that overlooked, you've guessed it, another pub called the Swan. The Swan was on the banks of the River Thames, and I found myself walking down to see if there was a path, which indeed there was. There was a lot of people out today because the weather was warm, sunny, exactly what we needed. Opposite the Swan pub, I thought I heard something, and guess what? It was indeed a swan. I dodged some runners and then turned left to see the River Thames. It was a really good thing to see on such a nice day. I saw a head poking out. I went over to investigate, and there they were, more swans, all swanning around in the River Thames. Oh yes, and there was another variety of bin. I noticed another pub next to the Swan called the Anglers, which, by my count, was 4 since I'd left the town centre. I ended up walking along the Thames path and admired the boats that were moored on the side of the path. It was a really, really nice place to sit and just watch passers-by, watch the stream of the river, and see if there was anyone on the other side who you could wave at. Unfortunately, I didn't see anyone in that regard, but it was just so peaceful and calming, and I'd really recommend going there if you want somewhere to quietly reflect on your day. The one thing that did become clear to me, though, was a fact that was very concerning to me. So I have finally found a bench by the River Thames in Walton-on-Thames, and this is the view that I am seeing. That's it. The whole Thames, beautiful scenery, and I am just seeing this fence, whatever you want to call it, and some sort of danger keep away sign for where the river splits. So I think, come on Walton-on-Thames, you can do better than this. But it's still a lovely area. It's still lovely sitting by the river, even if you can't even see the river. I decided to walk back towards the station, along Dudley Road, which was mostly attractive detached properties in a quiet setting. Sydney Road looped me almost all the way back down to the station, and it was the first road where I thought, there's houses that are a more modest size as compared to the rest of the area. But then I was quickly reminded that Walton-on-Thames does have a lot of very large houses, as shown here. I particularly like this little house that was squeezed in amongst the other semi-detached houses on the road. I also thought that you'd always be in work if you were a tree surgeon in this area. Look at the size of that hedge. So I'm just about to leave Walton, and I can see why people like to live here. It's very peaceful, very nice environment, very clean. I just had to cut the video because I nearly got hit by a car, but yes, very nice place. And what an apt place to end, as I'm just about to pass the Walton-on-Thames Conservative Club, which makes me question whether this seat will still be held by the Conservative Party on the 4th of July. And my guess is no, it will be taken by Monica Harding for the Liberal Democrats. Thank you for watching.